This is Mac OS Ken.
Counterpoint weighs in on iPhone in China. Another sign of new MacBooks, maybe. And Drops of God drops tonight. It is Tuesday, the 20th of January, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Clean My Mac. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Looking back at the year that was for smartphones in China, Counterpoint research says Apple won the fourth quarter while Huawei won the year. In a post posted Sunday, the firm said fourth quarter smartphone shipments slipped in the Middle Kingdom, dropping 1.6% versus the December quarter of 2024. Would have been a lot worse without iPhone, though. Apple was one of only two vendors to track growth for Q4. Apple shipments in China were up 28% year-on-year, leaving the company with a 21.8% share of China's smartphone market, enough to lead it. Oppo was the only other firm to show growth, with shipments up 14.9% versus the same quarter a year earlier. The thing is, Huawei owned the first half of the year, according to Counterpoint. For the year, Huawei took a 16.9% share of China's smartphone market, barely squeaking by second place Apple's 16.7%, just squeezing past third place Vivo's 16.4%. And now, memory issues. Counterpoint's Memory Tracker and Forecast Insights report indicates grim days for memory prices. According to the firm, those are expected to go up 40% to 50% in the first quarter, then go up another 20% in the second. Amid rising memory costs, Counterpoint says smartphone OEMs are expected to optimize their product portfolios with a particular focus on scaling back low-end models to preserve margins. As a sort of footnote to what I had said yesterday, a rise in memory prices of 40% to 50% this quarter, followed by 20% next quarter, makes me less optimistic that Apple will keep iPhone prices where they are. For the consumer's sake, I'm hopeful, but yikes. MacRumors sees a new sign of new MacBooks on the way. That sign is a long wait for certain MacBook Pro models. According to the site, MacBook Pro availability is tightening on Apple's online store, with select configurations facing up to a 2-month delivery time frame in the US. Some models see no delays, according to the report. At the extreme end, though, the site says all built-to-order 14-inch MacBook Pro configurations with a 16-core M4 Max chip and 128 gigabytes of RAM are estimated to be delivered as late as St. Patrick's Day on Apple's online store. That's March 17th for those of you who don't know. Of course, that is nothing like a guarantee that new models are at hand. A piece on Apple Insider argues that delayed deliveries do not make new models a given. Few months ago, you may remember, scarcity for HomePod Mini had some thinking that that meant new models were imminent. They were not. That said, Apple has sort of started the new MacBook Pro rollout. MacRumors points out that the entry-level 14-inch MacBook Pro was updated with an M5 chip in October, but the wait continues for MacBook Pro models with M5 Pro and M5 Max chips. Plus, there's the Apple Creator Studio announcement, and the upcoming earnings call, and the new external display that's turned up with China's regulators. There is definitely smoke, and you know what that means. Smells like smoke. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Clean My Mac. your solution for care and control of your Mac. You know what Clean My Mac does. It's right there in the name. It all starts with Smart Care, a Mac optimization routine that deep cleans your Mac, scans for potential threats, boosts your Mac's performance, runs software updates, and declutters your storage. Clean My Mac is a lot more than a Mac cleaner, though. It is also a maintenance app that handles junk, duplicates, malware, and performance issues, making your Mac more efficient. But please, see for yourself. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clny.com/MacOSKen. Make macOSKen all caps in both cases. That way they know where you heard about them and you get that discount. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clny.com/MacOSKen. Again, MacOSKen is all caps, both places. Use code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clny.com/MacOSKen. I feel like Apple might have been in a bit of a bind this Martin Luther King Day. Say what you will about the current administration, they're not really big on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Apple CEO Tim Cook has spent a lot of the last year staying super friendly with the current administration. That included a number of moves, from Cook personally donating $1 million to the president's inauguration committee, to Apple Maps renaming the body of water lapping at the shores of Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas, to pulling apps that broke no law from the App Store at the administration's request, to giving the president a trophy for no apparent reason, except he really likes them. I honestly wondered whether Apple would do what it's done for the past several years, turn the landing page at apple.com over to remembering Dr. King. If they didn't, there could be an outcry. If they did, could ring hollow. Discussing that with a friend, she said most people wouldn't notice any hypocrisy and those who did would not care. And that seems to be what Apple was banking on. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says Apple did mark MLK Day the way it tends to, posting pictures of and quotes by the civil rights leader and icon on its landing page. The page also linked to a Time to Walk episode featuring King's youngest daughter, Bernice A. King, minister and CEO of the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change. And there was the annual free book in Apple Books, A Time to Break Silence, The Essential Works of Martin Luther King Jr. for Students. That appeared to still be available for free as of last night. And finally today, on paper it doesn't hit until tomorrow, but the first episode of the second season of Drops of God hits Apple TV tonight. This is the one I told you about a couple of weeks back, the trilingual French, Japanese, English drama based on a manga of the same name. I cannot say enough good things about this show and cannot wait to get back into it. For those of you who've slept on this one, you can catch all of Season 1 now on Apple TV. The second season starts its run this evening. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Clean My Mac. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clny.com/MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
It's still sunny.